Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
The older you get, Henry, like the dumber you getting. The older you get, the dumber you getting, man. Henry, you crazy. I don't know what your problem is or not, man. Maybe you need to go home, get on the front porch, get you some country time lemonade, and fan the flies.
Uncle Henry Show, hello. This is News Radio 710 WNTM, the Uncle Henry Show. This half hour will have messages from listeners, voicemails from listeners on a variety of topics. If you'd like to leave me a message, 251-706-BULL. That's 251-706-2855. Email address unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. Going to start off with a little more voicemail reaction to the potential future mayor of Mobile, Mobile City Councilman Fred Richardson, refusing to take cybersecurity training to get access to his City of Mobile email account. Now, by this morning, I don't know what the new developments are. In fact, Fred Richardson may have already filed a lawsuit. I have no idea. I only know that Fred Richardson believes that the mayor of Mobile does not have the authority to secure the IT of the City of Mobile, that the mayor cannot impose cybersecurity rules, that only the city council can enforce these type of rules or create these rules, and then the mayor would execute them. So, and as you are aware by now, all the other council members took the cybersecurity training. Numerous city employees did. The mayor of Mobile took the training. Carlos Finley took the training, but Fred Richardson believes that he should not take the training because that would somehow be submissive to Mayor Stimson, that Mayor Stimson cannot impose cybersecurity rules, that in essence, the mayor of Mobile, Standy Simpson, cannot secure he cannot protect the email system from hackers unless he first gets permission from Fred Richardson and the city council. Now, this will all be determined this week, I'm sure. I'm sure that there's probably going to be a lawsuit. Mobile City Council is going to be talking about it tomorrow because Fred Richardson has a resolution that will have been held over. Now, complicating all of this is Fred Richardson making sure that he brought up the civil rights struggle, because we are in an election. There's going to be voting in August for mayor of Mobile and Mobile City Council, and it could be helpful to Fred Richardson if he can fire people up, making people think that he is being discriminated against. Let's listen back one more time to a brief clip of Fred Richardson comparing cybersecurity training to going and drinking at a separate water fountain.
I'm not equivocal. I'm not bowing down to no tyrant. I'm not bowing down. I'm not giving up my authority. I was told what bathroom to use. I was told what water fountain to use. I was told what school I couldn't go to. I was told what neighborhood I couldn't live in. And you gonna tell me, you ain't telling me what to do. I'm not taking your orders.
Okay, so by trying to protect the city of Mobile from hackers, the Stimson administration being compared to a tyrant. All right, some reaction on voicemail that continues to come in. The very familiar Mad Trucker, LD, wanting to weigh in.
Hey, Uncle Henry, LD. The town clown secured his fate, sealed his fate, I guess I would say. He will never be elected mayor after that rant, that bigoted, racist rant. That guy has no chance of leading the city of Mobile. Fred Richardson is a buffoon. Who in their right mind would elect this clown to anything but dog catcher? And even then, you'd have to think about it. Nah, he needs to grab his moon pie, take it off the bank building, and head on into greener pastures. Because this guy, he just put a hammer to his own head. You know what? He knew he wasn't going to win. Everybody's going to vote for Sandy. And Carlos Finley's not a bad guy. I met the guy. I do not have a problem with him at all. But I think Sandy's doing a good job. And why change course when the ship's going where you want it?
LD, the Mad Trucker. Now, LD, I don't know if what you're saying will come to pass or not. This mayor's race, like all elections, turnout is everything. Turnout is especially important in the city of Mobile. And you're convinced, according to your voicemail, you're convinced that people are satisfied with Sandy Simpson and that people will be turned off by Fred Richardson comparing cybersecurity training to separate water fountains. But LD, what if that rant and the way that Fred Richardson is framing the argument, what if it fires up turnout of his base? What if it fires up his voters? This is all going to depend, like many elections, it's all going to depend on who shows up, who is motivated to show up. In fact, some people may have heard what you heard. Some people may have had the same opinion you have just had and feel quite confident and complacent and feel like Sandy Stimson will win easily. They may not feel like they need to show up to vote for Sandy Simpson. Meanwhile, you have other people that hear this bell being rung about separate water fountains. It may fire them up to show up in a way that they had never wanted to show up before. So this is not over, LD. This is not over. I think anything can happen here. I know you, the listener, think I'm nuts for saying it, but look, it's all going to be who can get voters to show up. We know that this voter is showing up.
Henry, I am a working citizen, a law-abiding citizen, and I'm a taxpayer. And I have the right to vote. And I'm going to exercise my vote. August 24th, I'm going to the poll, and I'm voting Fred Richardson for mayor. Fred Richardson will become Mobile's next mayor, Henry. He's had my vote 4 years. I've been saying he should run. It's probably been about 4 or 5 years ago. I've been saying that, why he shouldn't, he should run for mayor. So that's came to pass now, Henry. So I'm endorsing Fred Richardson for Mobile mayor.
All right. So, well, anyway, we have other things. We're going to get off of this topic. I know you're tired of this topic, you, the listener. We're going to get into some other stuff next as the Uncle Henry Show continues here on News Radio 710 WNTM. Uncle Henry Show. We have news headlines in 10 minutes on the Uncle Henry Show. So if you can just endure this segment of the show, you'll get all the different news headlines you want, traffic, all that kind of stuff. Before we get there, some more voicemail. I've got a few voicemails on the vaccine topic. One of the stories that got my attention last week was Ascension Healthcare, the parent company over Providence Hospital. Ascension Healthcare telling their employees they wanted to make sure that all their employees were vaccinated by November. And what got my attention about that story is that from an email to their employees, they said that less than 50% of their Ascension Healthcare employees had taken the vaccine, which for me, now maybe you're not surprised, but I live a sheltered life. And I was surprised because I thought healthcare workers, they're on the front lines, many of them highly educated. They've seen firsthand what the virus can do to people. They have seen people die from it. They've seen last year their facilities get overwhelmed with people. All these people working in this healthcare industry would know a lot about the virus and have lots of conversations at work and at home about the virus. I was surprised that it was less than half of their employees taking the vaccine. And of course, the follow-up is that there's a petition that has been put together, that employees have put together a petition trying to get the company to reverse that mandate requiring the vaccination by November 12th. Now, I've received numerous messages on the topic of the vaccine, as you might imagine. Here is a lady that was also intrigued, as I was, by the Ascension Health vaccine story.
Hey, Uncle Henry. I just want to let you know I think that's very interesting about Providence and Ascension. I applied for a job because I wanted to make more money. That job told me I was going to be required to take the vaccine. So I went ahead and took the vaccine after a first interview. Come to find out I didn't get the job. I had an allergic reaction to it, went to the Providence ER, and was suggested and got a doctor's note saying, do not have the second dose of the vaccine because my reaction will be worse. So, I don't know. It's a lose-lose situation now from people like Ascension doing this to their employees. Just wanted to voice my opinion. Thanks.
Lady, thank you for voicing your opinion. 251-706-BULL, 251-706-2855. I'd love to be able to spend some time in the Ascension Healthcare break rooms and just hear some of the conversations among the frontline workers and highly educated healthcare workers that have decided not to take the vaccine. I would love to know what they're saying to each other. What have they noticed? This is the kind of stuff we don't. Well, maybe you hear it. Maybe you found it online. I haven't. I'd like to hear those conversations. Now, here's a man calling in to talk more about vaccine reluctance. People reluctant to take the vaccine.
For those who object to being vaccinated as a matter of religious conscience, based on the Bible, Christianity, there's also the scientific side of that would be you have what you call a naturopath. They have a PhD, a doctorate, and they it's about health foods, eating natural foods. Hippocrates was a naturopath. They've gotten way away from Hippocrates, the modern medical experts. And so, if you eat natural foods, and Hippocrates said, and this, you can find this in the writings in the library, he said, let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food.
I'm pausing the man there. He's talking about Hippocrates, which we don't hear a lot about on the Uncle Henry Show or a mini talk radio, and he was talking about that concept of let your food be your medicine. What with the amount of fried chicken that I eat, I wish that were a cure for something. I would look like Superman. If fried chicken cured something, I would be the healthiest person in all of Mobile. All right, the man will continue briefly here for us.
If you eat, natural foods, healthy foods, kosher foods, your body is have a natural immunity from any kind of, disease. And the vaccines will, they were talking about that this morning on another show, and are, artificial. They're just, you're relying on it's a violation of the first commandment, relying on someone other than our Creator,
All right, sir, thank you for your comments on natural foods. It's too late for me. It is too late for me. I've had far too many chemically laden foods, I think, in addition to my fried chicken. More show after the news.
New hot and iced Sunrise Batch Coffee from Dunkin'. A bright and balanced, full-bodied blend brewed so you can get summering from sunrise to sunset. And even after that, because that's when you can show off those string lights you hung in the backyard. Or rehung. Enjoy a medium, hotter iced Sunrise Batch Coffee for $2. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.
News Radio 710 WNTM Uncle Henry Show, joined once again by Randy Kennedy of Sports Talk 99.5 FM. If for whatever reason you can't pick up 99.5 FM, look for it on the iHeartRadio app, Sports Talk 99.5 FM. Randy Kennedy also writes for Lanyap. Randy Kennedy, condolences to you for not winning a nappy this year. How did that happen? Ordinarily, they've got it set up so that you will win a nappy, and it didn't happen.
I know. Multiple nappies, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how that goes down.
Well, obviously, Randy is trying harder to win a nappy in 2022 because you wrote possibly your greatest column of all time, post nappies. If you're an Alabama fan, you'll want to grab a lanyap as quickly as possible or go to lanyapmobile.com. You may want to take the column out and have it framed. You may want to have it, in fact, etched on something. Randy Kennedy, correct me if I'm wrong. You wrote a column about how Nick Saban is the best at his job on planet Earth, that no one is as good at their specific job as Nick Saban.
This is my premise. Now, of course, I don't know what everybody does for a living. I don't know what everybody does. I'm not familiar with that. But of all the people I know, I don't know anybody as good at their job as Nick Saban, of all the people I've come in contact with in my life.
That's right. If we were to try to find somebody in the suit selling business at a major department store or a clothier, we don't know if they have national championships of suit selling, or we don't know these things.
Exactly. The example I used in the column was, what about the shoe shine guy at the Salt Lake City airport? He might be by a wider margin the greatest shoe shine guy in the world than Nick Saban is to other college football coaches, but he's just kind of advanced as far as he can go in the shoe shine business. There's just not a national championship. There aren't riches to be had in that profession. So I don't claim to know, every roofer or every shoe shine guy or whatever. But of the people I know and the famous people, I think Nick Saban is better at his job by a wider margin than any person I know in any profession.
Now, in your column, you gave some illustrations, so it's not just an empty opinion. You gave some illustrations. I loved the illustrations you gave, such as you mentioned SEC Media Days and how he managed to take the spotlight even though he wasn't there one day.
Yeah, he talked to a bunch of coaches out in Texas, high school coaches, which is always good for recruiting, and he just dropped in the nugget about his starting quarterback, Bryce Young, who, by the way, has never been a starting quarterback before. He hasn't taken a snap yet as Alabama starter, is in line now to make seven figures, $1 million in endorsements, just because he's the Alabama quarterback. Not because he's a good Alabama quarterback, but just because he's the Alabama quarterback. Of course, that sends shockwaves, and it through the recruiting ranks as well, where, if you're a 17-year-old kid in high school, some hotshot, you're like, wait, I can go to Alabama. All I got to do is win the starting job. I get $1 million. Sign me up. And so a lot of coaches were like, well, this is not, this is really what we want this to be, and things like that. But it's just Nick Saban playing 3D chess again.
So when you write a column like this, do you get blowback from people that just aren't Alabama fans, that don't want to read this kind of thing?
I haven't so far. That's why I try to trick them. I don't start it in the first paragraph, see. I started in the first paragraph with something else, and then once they're committed, it's like, well, now I might as well finish it so I can cuss him.
Okay, well, now do you have it scheduled through the year that you're going to do a pro Saban column? Is it quarterly? I mean, how is it every 6 weeks? I mean, how do you work that out?
No. Probably be good for business if I were that smart, right? No, I don't have it planned that way. It kind of look, if I know 2 weeks in advance, I'm jumping up and down of what I'm going to write about. If I know 20 minutes in advance, that's more common.
Well, after I read the column and you had the premise of he's better at his specific job than anybody else's is at their specific job. We're not talking about just coaching football. We're talking about any job on the planet. I sat down as a mental exercise and tried to think of other people, and I couldn't come up with anybody. Because what he does is so public, and you can measure it so much more easily. Mm-hmm. I couldn't draw any direct comparisons out there.
What do you think about Warren Buffett as an investor? We all think he's great at that, right?
Right, we do.
I don't know.
I don't know. I know that people always want to quote what Warren Buffett said, but it's still not always as measurable. There is a lot of measuring there, of course, because of the dollar signs, mm-hmm. but the influence, not just wins and losses, but the influence of other people that are trying to copy Saban and the creating techniques that even people that hate him will use. Yep. Maybe Buffett is a good comparison, but it seems even more measurable to Nick Saban.
The thing that really stands out to me about Saban is not that he's so great at coaching footballs. He's known for being the defensive backs coach at Alabama, but they're not better at defensive back than they are offensive line or wide receiver or linebacker. So it's not that. It's not his football knowledge that makes him so great. I think he could take his philosophy of the process or whatever it is and apply it to just about any field in the world. I think he could be a great CEO. I think he could be the president of the United States. I think he could apply that to whatever, his work ethic and his ability to kind of problem solve. I think you could translate it to just about anything. It just so happens to be football.
Well, why wouldn't he want to do politics or CEO of a company?
Well, last time I looked, he was making $9 million a year, what he's doing, which is pretty good.
Good answer.
He doesn't have a boss.
Right. Good answer.
He doesn't have to campaign.
Good answer.
He doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to do. And, if I'm being more serious, I think he would tell you because he likes being part of a team. And he's been part of a team like many people since he was 6 years old and can't imagine his life without waking up every day trying to be a successful part of a team.
You're listening to Randy Kennedy of Sports Talk 99.5 FM. We've been talking about his Lagniappe column. You can find it at lagniappemobile.com or just grab a copy of Lagniappe here on the Gulf Coast. Sports Talk 99.5 FM on the iHeartRadio app. So now we're in the month of August. How busy do you get?
It's the busier time for me on the radio is when there aren't any ready-made subjects. This offseason, that has not been the case. With Texas and Oklahoma just joining the SEC, and, we've had news going all the time. And so it's busy year-round, but when there's actual games and there's actual things happening, it's really easy just to turn on the mic and talk about it. It's more difficult when there's not anything going on, and we're kind of exiting that period of the year right now, even though this year it didn't feel like there ever was a lull.
So we are just now into August. When do you start hitting the high school football games every Friday night?
It is really exciting. So the first high school game is August 20th. Actually, the day before, August 19th, a Thursday, is when the season kicks off in Alabama, and then we go full bore from there on.
Now, are the teams and coaches a little nervous about how we are seeing so many complications with variants of the coronavirus and people deciding what school is going to look like? Any nerves there?
It's still a concern, but look, after what we went through last year, where we literally had some high school games that were scheduled like the day before, Like on a Thursday, a coach would call up and say, hey, we don't have a game. Y'all don't have a game. What do you say I come over when we play y'all tomorrow night? And they're like, oh, okay, we'll do it. That was so foreign to everybody before last year. And now that you've gone through that, it's like, okay, whatever, the health crisis throws at us, we'll just handle it.
Okay. This early, do you have any indication of which high school teams we should keep our eye on for excellent football or fun football?
Well, St. Paul's was 15-0 last year, state champs, and they got a lot of good players coming back. They lost some good players, but they will certainly be a contender again. Theodore is going to have a really good team this year in 7A, the big schools. I think they've got a chance to have a very successful year this year. Spanish Fort has made the state championship game the last 2 years, but not won the state championship game. This year, I think they may be better than either one of those two teams, so they got a shot certainly to be a state champion. UMS is perennially going to be a really, really good team.
All right, well, you can hear more from Randy Kennedy at Sports Talk 99.5 FM. In fact, I have people leave me messages telling me that they listen to you before I hit the air. So they pregame with you, some of the News Talk listeners.
I'm happy to be the warm-up act.
Sports Talk 99.5 FM, and also you can find it anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app. And as I mentioned several times in this conversation, lanyapmobile.com. Randy Kennedy, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Always a pleasure and an honor.
Uncle Henry's Show. News headlines in 10 minutes. Before we go to the news headlines, more voicemail from listeners. Voicemail number 251-706-BULL, 251-706-2855. I have a listener that listens out in, I think he lives in Las Vegas, and listens on the iHeartRadio app. He's a former Mobilian that uses the Uncle Henry Show as a bizarre connection to the town that he used to live in, and he brings up a few topics. Let's listen to our caller from Las Vegas.
Hey, Uncle Henry. This is John in Nevada. I haven't been able to communicate with you much since your move to the afternoons, as I'm a bit of a night owl and typically head to sleep around the time most people are getting up and at 'em. My night job at the old airport doesn't allow for much daytime fun, unfortunately. Got a few things on my mind, Uncle Henry. This whole Simone Biles thing just disgusts me, Uncle Henry. She has one bad day on the trolley horses and she falls apart. You know, it used to be a much freer country, but you didn't have people giving up all the time, Uncle Henry. Janet Banana passed away earlier this week. You never saw her giving up on anything.
Right, I'm pausing his message there. I don't really know. I know people have had some very strong opinions on this young lady dropping out of the Olympic performance, dropping out of the team. And I don't know what to think about it, because I'll tell you that years ago I would have been very upset or would have had a much stronger opinion, just like the caller out of Las Vegas. But I guess I'm saying I don't understand mental health, or I'm more open-minded to try and understand mental health. I come from an era where you were encouraged to just suck it up. Just shake it off and move forward was the era that I came from. In fact, you get hurt on the football field practicing, they would just move the practice over while you laid there. So I come from a different era when it comes to this type of stuff, and I don't really know what to think one way or the other about the woman dropping out. I don't know how bad a mental health problem it is. Certainly if it's something at the level of panic attacks or something that would have interfered with maybe caused the young woman to be distracted enough to be injured. I don't know. But anyway, caller in Las Vegas, I don't really know what I think about the woman dropping out, because I don't quite understand what her problem might be. But I understand when we compare it to football, for example, people would expect somebody to play hurt. All right, moving on to whatever other topics you're bringing up.
Do you remember those ads for squirrel monkeys that were in all the magazines back in the 60s, and they were like maybe $18.95 a monkey? So back then you've gotten your own little squirrel monkey for less than $20. That's a couple $100 in today's dollars, but I can't think of a better deal. That's back when the penny was worth something, Uncle Henry. You know, if we got rid of the penny, we could probably take all that wasted energy and find deals like that today, but whatever. Anyway, it's past my bedtime and way past my wine time. You take care, Uncle Henry. Speak with you again one day soon.
All right, sir. Thank you for listening in Las Vegas on the iHeartRadio app. I appreciate it very much. People, somebody put something online this week about how back in the day, in some magazines and comic books, they would sell monkeys. And allegedly, this was real, that you would send off money and then somebody would mail you a monkey, which doesn't sound very good for anyone involved, especially the monkey. So we don't do that in modern times. I remember seeing those ads. Sir, I also remember seeing they used to sell in those magazines, was it seahorses, or they would sell something they would sell like a cartoon drawing of like a fish family or something like that, and you would send off for something that would come in the mail. There were a lot of things that they used to sell with magazine ads that nowadays would never pass most states' legal requirements to be sent through the mail. But sir, thank you. Thank you for reminiscing with me here on the voicemail. Again, the voicemail number is 251-706-BULL, 251-706-2855. And the email address, unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. That's unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. We do have news headlines coming up next from Fox, followed by the Glenn Beck program. And today, iHeartRadio is kicking off a chance for you to text in and win an opportunity to see the iHeartRadio Music Festival. You can listen for your chance to win. You'll have a chance in the 9 o'clock hour this morning during Glenn Beck. You'll have a chance in the 1 p.m. hour during the Clay Travis Buck Sexting Show, and also in the 5 p.m. hour during my show this afternoon. So listen for your chance to text in and win tickets to see the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Hey, thank you for listening to The Uncle Henry Show.
Summer is here, and it's time to say goodbye to your old vacation and say hello to Camelback Resort. Stay at Camelback Lodge. The suites are all newly renovated. Splash at Aquatopia Indoor Water Park or Camel Beach Outdoor Water Park. Over 50 rides, slides, and attractions. Play at Camelback Mountain Adventures. Take the fun off-road with the new Switchback UTV tours. Just 90 minutes from New York and the Pocono Mountains. That's where we want to be this summer, at Camelback. Book your summer getaway today at camelbackresort.com.